Chapter 13 Manhattan, Part 1. Spike pressed himself as far up against the back of the tree he was hiding behind as he could, wishing he could melt into it and hide. He needed to get away, but it was just no use.
Spike, come on!
Scootaloo's voice was the single most unpleasant thing in Equestria to Spike at the moment.
The sooner we do this, the sooner we can get to real crusading.
Spike shook, never having been this scared.
What are you doing?
Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon had seen him. In fact, they had been nearby, and Spike had been too busy hoping the Crusaders didn't see him to notice.
Shh!
He brought a finger to his lips.
Shut up! If they find out I'm here, they're going to...
He gulped. Diamond Tiara rolled her eyes.
Whatever.
Flicking her tail in a dismissive fashion, she trotted over to her usual victims, with Silver Spoon following beside her.
Well,
the pink filly began her usual, by now, routine diatribe.
The blank flank's out looking for something they're actually good for. Just ignore her, girls,
Applebloom said.
We gotta find Spike. Aw, even the dragon thinks you blank flanks are freaks.
Diamond and Silver laughed as if the latter's comment had any wit in it at all.
Hey, he was hanging out with us yesterday,
Scootaloo jumped in. Regardless of what Applebloom said, she was not about to let Diamond Tiara get away with insulting her.
He's just a wimp about our next crusade. Oh?
Diamond Tiara gave the condescending amusement pose she had seen in the fashion magazines.
And what's that? We're gonna try being kissing booth operators, Sweetie said.
At this, Diamond Tiara laughed.
Seriously? That has to be your lamest idea yet.
Sweetie blushed, but Scootaloo was ready.
You're just saying that because no colt would ever want to kiss you.
That got the bully to stop dead.
What?
Scootaloo put on a grin, hoping she sounded as confident as Rainbow Dash usually did.
Yeah, you think it's stupid because all the colts in class think you two are icky. They do not,
Silver Spoon yelled.
Yes, they do. None of the colts give you cards on Hearts and Hooves Day. They do so, and I bet we can kiss better than you. Well, we'll see once we find Spike.
Applebloom went back to looking around.
He's right behind that tree.
Diamond Tiara shot a hoof at Spike.
Now come on, I'll bet he likes my kiss more than...
A purple blur shot out from the tree and ran as fast as his short legs would carry him.
You traitor! After him!
Diamond Tiara yelled.
No! No! Twilight, how could you leave me to this?
Twilight suddenly stopped.
That's odd.
Applejack looked at her, stopping as well. Both were getting brushed by the sheer amount of ponies passing by them, but Twilight at least didn't seem bothered by this.
What's wrong, Twi?
I just got the strangest feeling Spike got himself in trouble. Given my sister and her friends, I think that's a given. Don't you worry, I'm sure whatever Spike's gotten into, he'll bounce back. You need not jump every time your mama instincts tell you to. Twilight blushed, but the comment got her moving again. I'm not Spike's mom. Yeah, right, Applejack said. Then, at Twilight, she shrugged. I ain't gonna argue with you. We got better things to do. Besides, it's not like you can avoid me forever. Twilight blushed even harder. Celestia said she'd need a week to get the rings off, so it looked like they were stuck sleeping together during their travels. So, where are we going exactly? We're going to the theater where Trixie is performing. Hopefully we can get her during rehearsal and ask her a few questions. She stopped, then pulled out a map from her saddlebag. It should be around here somewhere. You think Trixie will be willing to talk? Probably. She did sound like she wanted to change after the whole mess with the amulet. And since we have that to hang over her, it might go smoothly. You're saying we're gonna blackmail her? Not quite. It's right down the street. She began walking again. We swept the amulet mess under the rug when everything was over. The princess decided the amulet was at fault, not her. But if we decide to detain her, it could spill out. So she'll cooperate to prevent that from happening. Pretty much. She's starting to build a name for herself. This could damage it. Here we are. She stopped in front of a theater. Not the biggest Manhattan had to offer, but still nice. Come on, around the back way. The back door was guarded by an earth pony with considerable bulk. He snorted at the pair. This area's for authorized personnel only. Twilight pulled out a letter and handed it to him. It had a simple sentence. The bearer of this letter acts on my authority. Do nothing to stop her, and tell no pony of her actions. Princess Celestia, High Princess of Canterlot, Raiser of the Sun. The stallion looked at the letter, then back at Twilight. Yeah, you're Twilight Sparkle, ain't you? Indeed, she said, putting the letter away. We have no time for chat. We must speak with Trixie Lulamoon at once. She's rehearsing. That can wait, she said gently but firmly. I need to ask her a few questions, nothing more. All right, but be sure to mention you're under orders. I need this job. With some reassurances, they went inside. Almost immediately, they were confronted by a stage hoof who didn't seem too happy to see them. May I help you? We need to speak with Trixie Lula... The great and powerful Trixie is busy. She has no time for autographs. We're not looking for autographs. Could you please tell Trixie... I don't care why you're here. Get out before...
Twilight Sparkle?
The voice pierced through the conversation, and all three heads turned to look. Trixie was there, looking a little different than the last time she had been seen. Only that wasn't quite true. Trixie looked physically the same, but something was different. It seemed a far cry from the pony they knew either before or during the incident with the alicorn amulet. There was no malice or self-centeredness in her stance. Indeed, she looked happy.
Twilight Sparkle! You came to see Trixie's show! Oh, I hoped you would.
She turned her attention to the stave hoof.
Were you trying to keep them from seeing Trixie? How dare you! Go re-inspect the backgrounds. Trixie will deal with you later.
The stage hoof shot a glare at Applejack and Twilight as if it had been their fault, then stomped off. Trixie sighed.
Forgive Trixie. He is not exactly the easiest pony to work with, but I'm glad you're here. Trixie was about to send you and your friends tickets, but you're here now.
Twilight and Applejack looked at each other, then back at the show mare. This hadn't been what they were expecting. You seem awfully happy to see us. Twilight picked her words carefully. If Trixie was actually happy, the last thing she wanted to do was offend her. Applejack thought it best not to speak. She hadn't liked Trixie from the moment she entered Ponyville, and being forced to mush her hard-grown crop for something as wasteful as a facial mask, accompanied by tickle torture, when she refused, had only soured her disposition. Twilight had claimed Trixie was on the level now, but the girl had always been quick to forgive. But don't forget, the fact that we're here right now is proof of that. To both of their surprises, Trixie actually gave a bow. Not one of worship, as so many gave to Celestia and Luna, but one that conceded that the one in front of her was superior.
Twilight, you gave me another chance, even after...
She trailed off and looked around. No pony else was watching, but she still lowered her voice.
Everything that I'd done. I can't thank you enough for that. I was hoping I could meet you again and we could be friends.
She sounded like she was ashamed for even having the thought. Twilight bit her lip. This was not going to be fun. Trixie, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. I'm afraid this isn't a social call. We need to talk.
Is Trixie in trouble?
Her voice was quavering. She was really worried. I don't think so, but we still need to ask you a few questions. Do you have a private place we can talk? Spike was nearly out of breath, but he was still miles ahead of the Crusaders. He just needed to get back to the farm. He couldn't hide in the library since he had left his only key in his room, so it was back to the Apple home to hide. He could hear the hoof steps, the calls for him to slow down. They were all the incentive he needed to keep running. And then he tripped. He desperately tried to get up, but deep in his heart he knew he was doomed. He turned onto his back. He was just in time to see Apple Bloom and Silver Spoon both jumping down on him. Trixie's dressing room was surprisingly plain from what Applejack had expected. Oh, there were pictures of her everywhere, but they seemed to be mostly publicity photos and posters for her show. A makeup mirror, a chair, a couch, and a mess of props littered the room. It was clear that order was the last thing on Trixie's mind. Snickering as quietly as she could, she snuck a glance at Twilight. Her natural neat freak was battling her common sense, causing her to twitch.
Please, Trixie hasn't done anything. Trixie has been following all of the Royal Guard's instructions.
Trixie. Twilight was fighting a losing battle to keep her voice even. "Please, we just need to ask you a few things. Will you answer?"
Of course.
Twilight pulled out a notepad and pencil. "Where were you 3 nights ago?" Trixie blinked.
Trixie was here performing a show.
"How late does this show last?"
Until about 11. Look, what is this all about?
"Please, just answer, Trixie. We'll be out of your main in no time. Can you teleport?"
No, Trixie never... Wait.
She stomped, now looking angry. Her eyes were starting to prickle with tears.
Just what am I being accused of?
Twilight shifted. If Trixie really wasn't the one, she didn't want to admit what had happened. "Trixie, please."
No, Trixie has become a model citizen. She will not answer another question until she knows the meaning of this.
Twilight and Applejack shot a look at each other. Finally, they both gave a sigh of resignation. "Some pony messed with us a few nights ago," Twilight said. "We're trying to find out who..."
And just what makes you think Trixie did it?
"Well, there aren't many who don't like us. We're not blaming you. I don't think it's you, but you're one of our only leads." Trixie softened a bit, though she still looked rather offended.
Well, what is the nature of this? What?
She trailed off when realization crossed her face.
Those rings.
Twilight froze. They had been expecting this. The shock of seeing them had worn off, and now she was looking at the rings and noticing the similarity.
Are you two married?"
"No," Twilight answered too quickly.
"Yes,"
Applejack answered, cursing her element. "But not really." All offense was gone. Now Trixie just looked confused.
"What?"
Twilight gave a sigh. "We got drunk, and then some pony married us, and they're trying to keep us together. We're trying to figure out who did it." Silence. Then Trixie hit the floor, laughing.
"He liked mine better." He liked mine."
It was unusual to see the Cutie Mark Crusaders sharing a table with Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon, but neither side would leave Spike's side until he declared a winner. Refusing to do so only ensured that he'd have an entourage. He sipped at his milkshake, praying to Celestia that something would happen that would free him.
"Like you blank flanks know anything about kissing. Kissing is a big pony thing, not something for foals." "We aren't foals."
"Hey, I got an idea," Spike said suddenly. "Let's play the quiet game." Silver Spoon beamed.
"My parents love that game."
"Yeah, I bet," Spike said, too quiet for the others to hear. "Why don't we start now?"
"Come on, Spike, just pick a winner,"
Diamond Tiara said.
"You hang around that egghead all the time. You should be smarter than this."
Spike rubbed his head. This was not a pleasant day. "Look, can we just do something else?" Diamond Tiara sneered.
"Like what? The blank flanks just do stupid things that nearly get them killed."
"How about something nice and quiet, like stargazing? It'll be dark in a few hours. I could get Twilight's telescope out and..."
"Spike, the key words there are 'in a few hours.' Now quit trying to fool us and pick one of us."
Scootaloo's outburst sent Spike back for a moment. Okay, look. Pound is doing loop-the-loops in the air while doing the Wonderbolt salute."
"What?"
Scootaloo whirled around to catch the younger Pegasus once again outmatching her at flying. The other fillies looked as well. He wasn't there. But the sound of Sugar Cube Corner's bell sounding was evidence of where Spike was.
"He's getting away! After him!"
After Trixie finally stopped laughing, she gave straight answers. They had run them by the other members of Trixie's crew, who all confirmed her story. "Could they be covering for her?" Applejack whispered into Twilight's ear. "Maybe, but I don't know." Twilight noticed Trixie reapproaching. "We'll talk later."
"Is Trixie off the hook?"
"For now," Twilight said, giving a reassuring smile. "Probably for good. I really wasn't expecting to find anything here, but this was our first stop."
"Then will you stay for Trixie's show? Pretty please?"
She was actually widening her eyes, making them as pouty as possible. The two looked at each other. Applejack didn't want to show any expression, but she was hoping that Twilight would say no. Why not? We had nothing planned, and we can't leave until the chariot gets back. Sure, Trixie, we'll be there. It took all of Applejack's willpower not to face Hoof. Trixie practically squealed,
Great! You'll have the balcony seats to the best show in Manhattan.
To be continued.